All right, welcome to another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. I'm Jeff Goodman. He's Robbie Hummel. And listen, I got to get out to the pool soon. So we got to make this a fairly abbreviated.
Put your sunscreen on.
Look, I'm red. I'm red already. I don't,
The equator. Some of us have to work. Some of us have to feed our families around here. And you just are down in Puerto Rico hanging out like it's spring break.
Well, listen, it's been nice. I mean, drinking. Luckily, I went on that keto diet and I lost 20 because I'm going to gain another 5 back. But drinking, eating well, gambling. My daughter has won. I made this deal with her that I'd match whatever she put in, $100, I'd match it. So she's up, including the money I gave her. She tries to include the $100 that I matched. I'm like, no, that doesn't count in your blackjack winnings here. But I think she went from putting in $100 to now she's got $350. So she's won like $150 playing at the $10 table. So that's good. But
is the gambling in Puerto Rico 18?
18, drinking and gambling, both.
All right. I didn't know that. I thought it was U.S.
Pounding dacqueries, playing blackjack.
Living the dream.
It's the life. It is the life. She thinks, we're eating at STK, having fillets.
The first time you gamble, it's like a rite of passage that you must win.
Yeah.
Because then you get sucked in forever and you're like, man, every time I'm going to win money. And then you realize that's not how it works when you get hammered for your first major loss.
My first time I ever gambled, I was underage in Atlantic City. A buddy and I we drove to Atlantic City, which is a friggin' haul from Boston. But we drove it and we played this game it's either called Red Dog or AC Deucey or both. I think like some places it's called Red Dog, some places it's called like AC Deucey.
It sounds like you were at a casino that was really on the up and up if they've got Red Dog.
Hey, there's some shitholes in Atlantic City. Really, really bad. So the game is they turn over 2 cards and the third card has to be in between. So if you turn over a 3 and a jack, well, you've got plenty of cards that can go in between, but the odds are 1-1. If they turn over like a 2 and a 5, well, you've only got a 3 and a 4. So if you get the 3 and the 4, your odds are 10-1. I haven't played it in 30 years. So anyway, we ended up winning. I want to say it was like $2,000 and we split it. It was only one of us playing. I don't remember. I think it was me sitting down and he was behind me because we didn't want to attract too much attention with our fake IDs. And we end up winning like $2,000. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm hooked. And then I, stepped it up to blackjack and now my daughter's hooked. So the worst thing in the world when you win the first one.
Whenever I go to Vegas, my dad always gives me the great advice. Rob, just remember why those places are so big and so nice.
Because a lot of money.
You know where the first time I gambled was?
Go ahead.
It was on our Purdue basketball team trip to Australia. So we went to Australia and the gambling age is 18. We went on this unbelievable 3-city 11-day deal where we played a couple different teams. We actually played Dellavedova at the Australian Institute of Sport. I played against him before he got to college. I want to say Ryan Brokoff came. There's a bunch of guys that have come from there. There's been some really good players. But we were in Sydney, we were in Brisbane, and we were in Cannes. And I remember one of my teammates, who shall remain nameless, this was hilarious. So we got a ton of per diem to go to Australia.
Okay.
And a lot of the times in college, we would get per diem, but would still get fed a lot. So you really didn't need to use it. It was kind of like a loophole. It wasn't illegal, but it was just kind of like, you get a per diem for a snack or.
Yeah. But you'd have training table anyway. Yeah.
What's that?
You'd have training table anyway.
Yeah. So, during the NCAA tournament when you're gone, it wasn't all year, but every once in a while you get it. So I think guys were kind of thinking, oh, nice. This per diem is kind of just like extra spending money. Well, on this Australia trip, no, it was like your per diem for the most part was needed to eat. So we were in Cannes at the end of the trip, and this guy, I'm not going to say who, but he took some insane losses. And I remember we were in Cannes at the casino, and we're all done. Most of us had lost money. We're leaving, and he had finally taken the remaining per diem he had and been like, man, I got to stop. Like, and we're walking out and you could just see the look in his eye. He saw like a $5 table, sprints back, throws all his money on the table, just gets hammered, like lost. And then people had to pay for his meals because he didn't have any money left. He had nothing left in his Australian per diem.
Well, it's a lesson learned, Rob. Don't gamble what you don't have. And I didn't know that when I was a student at Arizona. Trust me, there were $40 flights from on Morris Airlines from Tucson to Vegas. And that was not a good thing for me. Not a good thing.
The planes got there at $40 a pop. You're lucky the engine weren't falling out of the sky or something.
I roomed with a bookie in college too, so that wasn't a good thing. Yeah, not a good thing.
You truly are a degenerate.
Not a good thing. Yes, agreed. All right, so first things first. Has anybody called you? I mean, the Celtics just signed 40-year-old Joe Johnson. ISO Joe just signed. Have you gotten any calls? I mean, you're only 32. You're not in horrible.
It's funny you say that. So I was doing the Bulls-Lakers game. I'm not sure I need to ask him how serious this actually was. But I woke up morning of the game, and I had to kind of cram because I don't do much NBA, and I got to do 2 Bulls games this last week because Bill Wennington has COVID, Stacey King has COVID too, so they've been filling in for their radio and TV broadcasts. And I get a text from Drew Anthrop, who's my roommate from college, video guy for the Lakers. He's been with Vogel since Vogel was in Indianapolis, and he was like, "Hey, you want to play tonight?" I was like, dude, shut up. Like, I've had one experience of walking into a restaurant and Tim Connolly, who's the GM for the Nuggets, was in there, and I think he'd been drinking a little bit. He's like, man, we shouldn't have cut you. And I'm like, I can't deal with this. I can't hear, like, Tim is a great guy, but I cannot hear you say things like that when I'm now out of basketball, right? And that's how I felt like with this. I was like, dude, shut up. Like, you don't need me. And he's like, dude, we need players. So I don't know how serious he was, but it kind of felt like he was actually serious. Like they need guys, They had so many guys out for COVID.
I would have friggin' loved to see you go out there and have to guard like Zach LaVine, like out of the gate.
He was out with COVID. I would have been so bad. I mean,
so who you had to guard? DeRozan? Is DeRozan playing? DeRozan
had 38 points in the game. So
he had 100 on you.
I mean, he was giving LeBron buckets. He was killing him. DeMar DeRozan is awesome. He is awesome. It's such a throwback with the mid-range, but he can get his shot whenever he wants.
Yeah,
against anybody. He's never sped up. He is so good. I don't know. I mean, Javonte Green, please God no. Alex Caruso, please God no. I wouldn't want to guard anybody on the court.
What did you think? All right, before we get back to college and everything. You saw LeBron up close. He played in this game, right? He played in the game that you saw. Is there a noticeable difference now, Rob, in LeBron from when you played in the NBA to LeBron now?
He still makes freakish plays, like the block he had in Dallas where I think he got called for a goaltend, but it's like his arm is above the rim. And he still has dunks where it's like insane. Take off from the dotted line, head at the rim type stuff. I thought he looked different in terms of when he goes to the basket and he's got somebody on his hip. He doesn't seem as explosive as he used to. He used to take you with him, And he's still one of the best 3-4 players in the NBA. He had 31, 12, and 7. He didn't shoot it great. He was 1 of 7 from 3, but he was getting into the paint and just bowling guys over. But it just seems like when there's contact, he used to still be above the rim. He used to do these crazy things where you're like, man, there is nobody in the world other than him that can do that. And this is no slight to him. He's played 68,000 minutes in his career. But I do think that you're starting to see him get a little bit older, which kind of makes me sad. I mean, he is such a unique and special player. This dude's thinking room service calls. If I could be Jeff Goodman for a day, I mean, I would just love that. Just, they're probably talking about fluffing his pillow or doing something. But no, he's still an elite player, but I do think that we're starting to see some effects of playing so many minutes and being 37 and just, it's crazy the run he's been on. I mean, he still is in the 1%, but you're starting to see maybe a little bit of an athletic.
Yeah, he can't carry a team without Anthony Davis now. It's hard for him to carry a team with Anthony Davis. He's not. Yeah, no. Maybe on a night he can do it.
You know who else is crazy to see is Russell Westbrook, because there was multiple drives where I thought, dude, he used to turn that over and just blow the rim up.
Yeah.
And now he's just flying into people and taking these wild shots, and he's got a good line, but he shoots some bad ones. And I don't think he's a great fit for their team. But yeah, both those guys, Westbrook especially. But his game was all predicated on he's a freak. Right. He's an athletic freak. Yep. And now he's not as vertical as he once was.
No, you wear down. You know that your once 20.5-inch vertical is now down to 19. So, you can only imagine, you're only 32.
Hey, it's crazy you say this, that I'm not athletic. Did I run the mile in college, not training for it in 4 minutes and 42 seconds? Yes.
I never said you're not athletic. I just said your vertical is 19.5. How
many dunks did I have at Purdue? At least 20. I mean, you can't be athletic or not athletic and have at least 20 dunks in your college career.
This really gets under your skin when I call you on athletic.
The slander is here, and how many people on the planet can run a sub 5 minute mile when they don't even train for it? I didn't even train for it. I just ran a 4:42.
We finally found something that has gotten to you, that has really gotten under your skin, and you're normally like this, even keel. You don't get upset at anything, but the 19.5-inch vertical, the unathleticism.
I'm going to synergy in one of these podcasts. We're just going to we're going to react to my dunks, and we're going to say, can the normal player do this? And I think the answer is going to be mostly no. And we're going to listen to what the announcers have to say too, talking about my peak athleticism.
We'll put together a montage, a full montage of Hummel's
Synergy Sports montage. I can't wait.
It'll be like a Sports Center top 10. But just of Hummel dunks.
Okay. Some of them are going to be shitty, but some of them will be good.
Whatever. They're still dunks. Before we move on to the next topic, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now is the time because they're offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay Instant Approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off soon, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's turn our attention to college hoops a little bit here. And the state of the game right now, I guess we got to talk about, because there's forfeits, there's cancellations all over the place right now within college basketball. I want to say right now, there's got to be more than 50 teams currently on a pause. Now, we're not going to know a lot of this because teams now, our kids are going home for Christmas. They weren't able to last year. Right now, most coaches are allowing their kids to go home for Christmas right now. And my biggest concern, Rob, is when they come back, they're gonna be a guy on the team that comes into the trainer. Here's the way it's worked. Basically, the way it's worked is the athletic trainers have told these kids for the last year and a half, 2 years, hey, listen, if you don't feel well, make sure you tell me. Make sure, because this shit obviously is serious, and they don't want any blood in their hands, so to speak, of something happening under their watch. That's their job, to make sure that everybody is safe and healthy and whatnot. So they're drilling into these kids over and over and over. If you don't feel well, let me know. Well, if a kid goes up and he's got a cold or whatever, flu-like symptoms, and he goes up to the trainer's going to say, all right, we need to get you tested. And you get one tested and he's positive. And right now, let's face it, the rate I mean, listen, I didn't go to Atlantis right now because we were afraid we'd be stuck in Atlantis, which doesn't sound like the worst thing, but we have a dog back home. Right. So we changed at literally 9:00 the night before and came to Puerto Rico because you don't have to test to get back home from here. But when these kids go in and they get tested and they're positive, you get one, and then the trainer is going to obviously advise with one or two, hey, listen, we got to get the whole team tested. And, there's teams, according to my, Penn State, DePaul, you can go through some other ones right now that the whole Syracuse, basically the whole team is tested positive. So my take on all this, Rob, was why not just scrap from here through right after New Year's? Just scrap it because it's a shit show anyway right now. I know you're going to get some games getting played. Some are going to be without key players, like Champagny from St. John's didn't play their last one. They moved on. Why not just say, listen, we don't have a lot of great games anyway right now. It's a slow time for college basketball. Why not just make sure everything is kind of even, apples to apples, and let's just shut it down for 2 weeks, regroup, get a plan, figure out whether these leagues are going to have forfeit rules or not, and then come back on like January 4th and hopefully have it go smooth from there.
So are you suggesting that the low majors, do they get paid out still for their bye games? That's what these games are.
That's the problem. They're going to miss
the problem.
Right. They're going to miss them.
Yeah.
But you're talking.
They're not going to be okay with that.
But most
unless you're saying, hey, the deal, the big schools pay the low majors out, and then you do that. But that's the problem. Those schools aren't giving
most of the non-league schedule is almost done, Rob. You might lose a game or two at this point, but you've gotten most schools have gotten 10, 11 non-conference games. So I'm more worried about the start of conference play now, to be honest. I think
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing, but tell that to the Nichols State game, the 29th of December, playing at Purdue. They want to get their $100,000 or whatever they're paying them. They're not going to give that up. That funds their athletic department. That's the issue. I'm sure the high majors would be like, yeah, forget that. Let's just chill and make sure we can be good going into conference play. But there's TV deals. There's the low majors that have buy games. There's other forces. I agree. I mean, I'd rather have conference play than a week of crappy games around New Year's Eve. So
I think that's what you're going to have now. I think
there's no direction. Now, in fairness to the NCAA, I don't think any pro sports league or any sports league in general has direction right now. The NBA is insane. We talked about me getting
picked
so
up. Dumb. So dumb.
They have Christmas Day games. They have to play on Christmas Day. From a money standpoint, that is why they have not paused.
How'd you like to be a fan at the Bulls-Lakers game? Well, that's a wrong one because LeBron played. But how'd you like to be a fan of some of these games, and you flew out and you paid a lot of money to fly out to see your favorite player or take your kids for Christmas present out, and then you get there and the day of the game it's canceled? That sucks. Sucks.
No, it's horrible. It's terrible. And I think the NBA has dealt with that a little bit with load management, where you have these fans that take their kids to see a LeBron or a Steph Curry or whoever, name a superstar, and they're out that night for load management. I mean, that stinks. That's what I loved about Jordan and Kobe, was that like every night they thought of, I'm putting a show on for somebody that probably has never seen me play. And the times have changed. Like it's the amount of games you play in that span is a ton, but just in getting ready for that Lakers Bulls game, the amount of people that had COVID, trying to understand who would maybe even play in the game. I mean, Levine was out. Javonte Green finally comes back. DeMar DeRozan finally comes back. Who else was out? There was like Troy Brown Jr. was out. Matt Thomas was out. It was like 10 guys, and 3 of them came back. So the Bulls were able to have a normal rotation with 8 guys, but they were bringing guys up from the G League, and it's all over the place right now. But in fairness to the NCAA, NHL, they're on pause. They just stopped. NBA, they would probably be on pause, but Christmas Day is a crazy moneymaker for them in terms of TV revenue. They kind of have to power through this. The NFL is about to just be like, yo, if you're asymptomatic, don't test. I mean, no one really has a plan. I guess the NFL has a plan of just saying, forget it. It's more important to play than test people that don't have symptoms.
Well, and they're almost at the finish line, right? They're not that far off from the playoffs at this point. So they're just saying, you know what, let's get to the playoffs, and then we're cutting the teams in half. We'll figure it out from there. But yeah,
I just think that the sad thing about this is that you have to envision that Mark Emmert just thought, hey, we have vaccines now, we're good. Which this is a very shifting landscape, you know?
It's the dumbest thing ever, too. I tweeted yesterday of like, all right, something as simple as figuring out the minimum number of players that should be allowed, you should have in order to play a game, right? Like how is that not universal across all the leagues? It should be so easy to get the 32 conference commissioners on a call and say, okay, guys, here's the deal. All right, you think it should be 6 and a walk-on. We think it should be 7 and a walk-on. Whatever it is, let's just vote. And whatever the majority is, we'll go with. But let's have it be universal. But they can't think that way. And again, I blame Emmert for a lot of it, but I blame the conference commissioners for a lot of this too. How can, if I can come up with this, and I could probably get the 32 damn conference commissioners on a call, like how can they not do this? So stupid. Like, you know, especially for the power of 6, for something like that. I'm not saying the forfeit rule might be a little bit more difficult to try to figure out, or who to give the regular season, how to come up with that formula, you know, whether it's winning percentage or whatever you want to do.
Like the Michigan, Illinois stuff last year. That's confusing.
Yes. Little bit tougher, but I still think that could be done universally as well. Make it easy for the general fan to understand this. In the NBA, you've got one entity. It's easy. Well, I go back to 2 years ago when everything was canceled in March, and we have 32 different announcements from every league. All right, we're done. We're shutting it down. We're shutting it down. We're shutting it down. Why can't you idiots be on the same goddamn page?
Hey, think about the Ivy League and how everybody made fun of them when they first canceled. Yeah. And really, it's like, well, the smartest people in the world, they knew what was coming. But people clown the Ivy League. They really did. Still. You're right. It shouldn't be hard, but no. The NCAA never takes the initiative to be on the same page with anything at this point. Name, image, and likeness. Do whatever you want. You know, and now you've got the Texas wide receiver allotment or whatever that is down there, where you're getting sponsored for being on the wideout depth chart, which I don't think is what they had in mind with this at all. I mean,
they had no idea what to do. They're reactive. They're always reactive. You know,
suspensions they do are pathetic. The way they handle things are pathetic. Like it's what we come to expect at this point. They screw everything up. I'm surprised the NCAA tournament ever works. But it's hard to screw up one of the greatest sporting events in the world. But when you see who's running it, I'm surprised that comes off without a hitch.
Well, you know why? You know why? Because you've actually got good people in David Warlock and Dan Gavitt running that. Like Emmert, I don't think gets involved in that, which is why it runs so well. But when Emmert gets involved in some of this shit, you know, I don't know. So what would you do? Have you given thought to what you would do with this forfeit policy? Because obviously it was put in place to discourage people from being unvaccinated. It was basically put in place to get everybody vaccinated. But now the problem is teams that are fully vaccinated are still getting hit, you know, with the virus, and it's not fair to hit them with forfeits. So a lot of the leagues have changed, Rob, already. Big 12, Big West, I think Pac-12, Mountain West, but some of the leagues, the Valley, the A10, the WAC, haven't. Big Ten, I think, is going to go to it soon.
They released a statement saying they're reevaluating. I think
they'll go to it. I kind of understand it. It's still early, and you kind of want to see if this thing somehow in 2 weeks we go back to normal and we're playing games and we're not worried about it. So I don't mind them taking a little bit more time. I just feel like, you know, for a team like DePaul, for instance, you know, you're playing well, you're going into it now, and you're going to get hit with, you're going to be 0-2 or whatever it's going to be in the league, and you're fully vaccinated.
To me, that's not fair
It's
because it's not. You just got to get a winning percentage. If this is the new reality, it's just got to be a winning percentage thing.
Right, with a minimum number of games that you're going to have to play to qualify. That's all.
Yeah.
And again, that should be that should be universal. Whatever
And last year, the Michigan-Illinois deal, that kind of ended up maybe not being totally right. But what else are you going to do?
Nothing.
You know?
Nothing. You go to winning percentage.
It's an extraordinary time. I don't know what else it sucks for Illinois.
Yep.
But
yeah, and the NCAA will change its minimum number of games. If this thing keeps going, you're going to have to change the minimum number of games. All right. Before I hit the pool again, you wanted to look at we picked our teams, our like all-American preseason teams.
It was more of a fantasy team. It wasn't necessarily all-American. It was like pick the best team with the players available, I think. Because all-American teams, some of the picks.
Right. We were trying to do it in a way that we wanted to construct a 13-team roster with some shooting, and we had to have a mid-major player, correct?
Correct. Yes. Correct.
So, all right, let's take a look at how this thing went down. Okay. You had the number 1 pick, and you didn't screw that up. Thank God. You screwed a lot else up, but you didn't screw that up.
Speak for yourself. I think your team sucked too.
You took Paolo. All right. So we'll give you an A+ for that. I took Drew Timme with my first pick, and you can't argue with that. You can't argue.
That's fine.
My next pick, you probably shook your head a little bit, but
was it snake draft or was it alternating?
Oh, I think it was alternating, wasn't it?
Me too, yeah.
So you took Chet.
Yep.
And you took Chet ahead of the guy that I took next, which I thought was a big mistake.
At the time, you didn't.
Yeah, probably not. But now EJ Liddell's been killing it.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to rate my pick a C. I mean, still a great piece to the team.
Yeah, no, and defensively he's been fantastic. He got out of the gate slow. His second half of the season is going to be so good because he's going to be playing against 6'7" centers in the WCC. He's going to be blocking like 8 shots a game.
All right. So my homegrown pick is not that bad, but Liddell,
Liddell killed it. That was a great
A+ pick for Liddell.
Then, all right, your next pick, the third pick for Robbie Hummel was Amani Bates.
All right. Yep. That's an F.
That was not good right now, Rob. That was not very good.
I have hope for Amani Bates ahead of the American Conference, but that's an F.
So my first 3 picks, I don't know if you could have done any better. Jaden Ivey, my third pick.
All right. Yeah. You're killing it.
Timme, Liddell, Ivey. Crushing it.
At the time, I felt really good about my team. Keep going. Ivy's an A+.
We'll keep going. Johnny Juzang was your 4th pick. He's been solid. He's solid.
Right.
He's been fine. You can't argue that. Buddy Boeheim was my 4th pick.
Oh, God.
He's not making threes. Yeah, he's not making threes, but he's averaging like 20 a game.
I give you a C.
All right, you can give me a C. Colin Gillespie, your 5th pick. He's been solid. Good.
I can't wait to get to your point guard pick. Keep going.
Yeah, mine's not good, but yours isn't good either. So you got one.
Colin Gillespie's a good pick. What do you mean?
Yeah, you got one behind him, but I'll get to in 2 picks. Ty Washington, my 5th pick. He's coming on, but yeah, definitely has struggled.
You're biased. You want him to come on because you love him.
I do love him. I really do. You got Jaime Jaquez, 6. He's been good, solid. Patrick Baldwin for me, 6, has not been great. He was hurt, and they're losing every game. They're struggling. Curbelo, your 7th pick. Now again, you took Curbelo, not me. You took Curbelo. Yeah.
More than you did.
Yes, you took Curbelo. How about that? Now again, we don't know what's wrong with Curbelo.
That's true. I mean, didn't play well, got hurt, and hasn't been back. So, NA, unknown. TBD.
I took Zach Edey, 7th.
Well, he's kind of come back to earth. I mean, he started out the year. It's incredible. He's been good.
Tyson Etienne, you took 8th.
Oh my God.
Bad pick.
He was a chucker.
Yeah.
He jacked. I mean, to the point of maybe the biggest chucker in college basketball. Wow.
I had Julian Champagnie 8th. He's been good when he's been playing. He's out now with COVID, but he's been very good. Max Abmas for you, 9th. They haven't been great. He's been fine, but they've struggled. They've really struggled. My 9th pick was not good. Marcus Carr, really bad. He's been awful. He's really not been good.
I'm shocked. I would have bet money that you took Curbelo.
I did not. You took Curbelo high. I
snagged him up.
My backcourt was Ivy and Ty with Boeheim. That was my perimeter. My perimeter was better than your perimeter.
Yeah.
10th, Matthew Meyer for you. Justin Moore from Villanova for me. Probably a wash.
Yeah, they're both been pretty good.
11th, how about this? 11th, we got 2 guys that probably could be first-team All-Americans right now. You had Kofi. I had Jabari Smith.
Man.
They've both been incredible.
I didn't think of big because I knew that I could either get Hunter Dickinson or Kofi Coburn. And it was like I should have taken him last.
Right. 12th, Kellen Grady for you. He's been really good lately. Really good.
Yeah.
I had Alex Barcelo from BYU. Been good.
He started off amazing,
yeah. He's been good. And then 13th, Nate Leshevsky for you from Notre Dame. I had Daryl Morcell. Really good pick. Morcell's been good. He can guard and he's been scoring.
Dude, all right. In defense of my Nate Leshevsky pick, I wanted a stretch 5 who I thought could shoot threes, and he has not shot the ball that well, and he has not played all that well. So that's what my mindset was. I need somebody that can stretch the floor at the 5, and that's a bad pick. I lost this exercise.
You lost. Yeah, I mean, Amani has struggled. Curbelo hasn't played. Etienne has struggled. Leshevsky, 4 of your 13 have not been great. I've had Marcus Carr and Patrick Baldwin are 2 guys that I wish I had another pick. I wish that
I had taken with my mid-major pick.
Who?
Kenneth Lofton from Louisiana Tech. I should have. I almost did, but I mean, A. Smith can really score. Boy, I hope no NBA front office ever hears this podcast. This will take me out of any consideration to ever leave TV.
Yeah, this was not pretty for you at all. By the way, my family's trying to get. I'm not good with heights, and they want to get me on a zip line. Have you ever done a zip line?
Puerto Rican rainforest.
Yeah, we're doing a UTV tour today. A UTV.
You got to go check out the bioluminescent bay if you're close to it. It's awesome.
Is it?
Nighttime, like there's this like plankton that glows in the. Look it up. Look it up. It's near the rainforest. Just do the bioluminescent bay. It's near the big rainforest there. They have a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons or one of the resorts is right by it.
Have you been to Puerto Rico when you haven't been here for a tournament?
Well, we played there my 5th year of college, but then I played in multiple 3-on-3 tournaments there, and actually I played in a charity celebrity golf event with some of the most hilarious. I mean, Frankie Muniz from Frankie Muniz played. Kevin Dillon, who was Johnny Drama, played.
Love Kevin Dillon. Dillon.
He is literally Johnny Drama. He's amazing. Yes, he is. He's a fun time. He's a really fun time. Plexico Burris, Santonio Holmes, some really good Puerto Rican, like Carlos Delgado and Carlos Beltran.
How the hell did you get in this group?
Okay, so one of the guys I played 3-on-3 with, it works on Wall Street and is part of a wealth management firm. And one of his clients, who's a great guy, his family is Puerto Rican, he's Puerto Rican, and they live down there. So he has this foundation and they have this charity golf event. I think initially the foundation was for maybe underprivileged people in San Juan and Puerto Rico. But after the hurricanes, it became rebuilding the island. So that's kind of what their charity mission has been. And actually, you know who I got paired up with in my group? We won the tournament.
Really?
I got paired up with Happy Walters.
Happy Walters, the agent?
Yes. So Happy Walters and me and like 4 of his friends. One of them was an amazing golfer. We won.
I was going to say somebody had to have carried you.
I played amazing. I won closest to the pin. We won the low score. And we won I won 3 bottles of this like Johnny Walker Blue Label. And to bring him back to the States like get total, well, not to the States, we were in the States, but into the mainland United States. It was really fun. Happy Walters is a very interesting guy. But yeah, they're like Kevin Dillon and Plesko Burris almost got in a fight, and that would have been a fight you don't want to have over Kevin's girlfriend at the time. It was
no. Plaxico was going after Kevin's girlfriend.
What's that?
Plaxico was going after Kevin's girl?
No, it was more of like Kevin Dillon's girlfriend was drunk and she was saying crazy stuff, and Plex was just like, yo, like, shut up pretty much, and then it escalated from there. Who else was there? Remember, you ever watch Prison Break?
Oh, love Prison Break. Love
the guy who played Sucre is a Puerto Rican actor.
Oh, yeah, I love that dude.
Chichi Rodriguez, the golfer, was there. I mean, it was the most random assortment of people at this resort. The golf course is amazing. I mean, it's right in the ocean. It was sick.
Getting back to my question. Getting back to my original question. So you've never done zip line?
I've never done zip line. No.
Would you do it?
No. Yeah, I do it. It looks sweet. I mean, and that rainforest was right across from the resort, so I know that they had the zip line and stuff there.
Well, they got the biggest one in the world. I think
they've got some they've got some good ones there. I will say, I have to tell this. So I asked Kevin Dillon at the first night, I was like, give me your best Entourage story, because I love Entourage. And when I was overseas, I watched like nightly. I've watched every episode probably 15 times. And he's like, all right, so you know the episode with Brady? And I was like, yeah, with Tom Brady, of course, the celebrity golf episode, charity event. He goes, yeah, so, you know, it was supposed to be Eli Manning, because they're all from, you know, they're supposed to be New York guys. They get Eli to make the show make sense. And last minute, Eli cancels. So he's like, Wahlberg, who was executive producer of the show, goes, don't worry, I'll get Brady. So they call Tom up. And he's like, Brady's like, love the show, I'm in. So the day of their shooting, Brady comes into their trailer and he says, we're all just shooting darts. And you know, Brady's like, hey guys, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you. And everybody's like, yeah, we know, like, good, nice to meet you. They introduce themselves. And Tom's like, hey, you guys are playing darts? Mind if I take a shot here? And they're like, yeah, sure. They hand him 3 darts. And they said, Brady literally goes, bullseye, bullseye, bullseye. He goes, well, see you later, guys. I'm going to makeup, and walks out and just pieces. And they're like, this dude is good at everything. I mean, this is amazing. Wow. But then the funniest part was Kevin Dillon's a pretty good golfer. So he was like, you know, the scenes where I have to like suck. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like you break your driver with your foot. He goes, you should have seen it. I told him, you can't film me from the back. I'm only hitting bombs. So they're filming me from the side and a 45-degree angle. And I'm supposedly hitting these bad drives. I'm piping these bad boys 300 right down the middle. And he goes, I told him, I will give you one shitty shot. This is all you get. I'm going to turn my hands over and I'm going to snap hook this bad boy for the show. And he goes, I did it once and then went right back to piping bombs. He was hilarious, dude.
I think you need to get Kevin Dillon on the pod.
I don't think I know him that well, but we could try.
I think we got to try. I've
got his phone number. He'll never answer. he gave me his number.
Look at him go. Robbie Hummel. Who?
He gave me his number. Was like, hey, bro, when you're in LA, you know, because he knows my girlfriend works out of LA. He's like, when you're in LA, hit me up. We'll play golf.
I want to see the lack of a response when you text them.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm
Give
telling
it
you,
a shot.
Probably would be. I have a different number now. That was a couple years ago, pre-COVID. But
give it a shot.
It was really fun.
All right. Well, listen, I'm out. My wife's texting me. They just moved from the pool to the beach, so my life has gotten a lot more difficult right now.
It must be nice to just be on vacation all the time.
I love these the drinks. I mean, that's the best thing. Or the poolside bar here. You know, the swim up bar.
Enjoy the painkillers and the pina coladas, dude, because it's back to reality here in a couple of days.
I'm back. I gotta fly back tomorrow night because of the dog. If it weren't for the dog, I don't know if I'd leave.
Why didn't you put him in? Is this cruel to say, like a doggy daycare?
No, we've done it. Our dog's almost 13, so we actually flew up my nephew. He flew up with his girlfriend for like 5 days, but he's got to get back. Yeah, you're
house
looking
party,
at
baby. House
big
party.
Yes, big house party. But yeah, so we just couldn't. I feel too guilty. The dog's older. I just don't want to do that to the dog. Leave the dog
Who
that
knew
long.
that you have a heart?
I do. I have a little bit of a heart. I love my dog. I love my dog. So that's,
What's his name?
Casey. It's a girl.
No, her name.
So she's good. And so we'll get back and then we'll I think I have like Seton Hall Providence. You think that game's gonna happen on Wednesday the 29th? I'm gonna try to go.
No, I'm looking at my schedule right now. I seriously wonder if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of 8, 8 of 9, 9 of 10, 10 of 11, 11 of 12 nights. I'm working from the 27th of December.
Well, you have New Year's Eve and New Year's Day with the Bulls, both games?
Yes. So my schedule, and it was crazy last week where I did Michigan, Purdue, Michigan, Southern Utah, the 18th, Bulls 19th, Bulls 20th. I had supposed to have the Michigan Purdue Fort Wayne game. It got canceled at 1 p.m. and became Iowa and Southeastern Louisiana on the 21st. I did the Nebraska game last night. I have studio today for Big Ten Network. But yes, I have studio the 28th, Purdue Nicholls State the 29th, studio for Big Ten Network the 30th, Bulls Pacers. I think Bulls Pacers New Year's Eve. I think Bulls Wizards New Year's Day, Northwestern Michigan State on the 2nd, and Purdue against Wisconsin.
Wow. Well, happy holidays, Rob. Happy holidays,
baby. But you know what? I don't work from April to November, so I might as well work.
No, you just golf. All you do is golf from April to November. So
my only goal at this point, outside of my professional career, is to make it onto the Pro-Am circuit, much like Frankie Muniz. He told me he played in 40 like charity golf events a year. He's like on the PGA Tour of golf events. I'm like,
you would
this is
love
amazing.
that. No, you would be honestly.
So
you'd be so excited because you get to fly all over the place.
I mean, you get to play sweet courses.
Right.
I'm only going to do it if I can get to the level of be like a scratch golfer. I don't want to go out there and suck, but we'll see.
All right, there you have it. Robbie Hummel's his goal in life, just not to suck, is the biggest thing. All right, Goodman and Hummel podcast. Make sure you listen to it wherever you listen to your pods. Watch it on YouTube. Watch it on Twitter. And happy holidays to all, yourself included, Rob. And try not to work too hard.
I'll try.